Okay, picture this. It is February 2026. We are officially in a midterm election year. The holidays are over, the decorations are packed away, and the big political machines in Washington are just waking up to check their bank balances.
It's that moment, right? The political version of checking your credit card statement after a long vacation.
Exactly. But here's the thing. When they opened their banking apps this month, the two parties saw completely different numbers. I mean, one side realized they are sitting on a mountain of cash so big, it's hard to even wrap your head around.
And the other side.
They realized they're starting the race in the red.
It's a staggering discrepancy, and I've been looking at campaign finance reports for a long time, and the landscape we're seeing at the start of 2026 is, I think, arguably the most lopsided we've seen in decades.
And we're not talking about just a small lead here. We're talking about a Republican apparatus that has a war chest that makes the Democratic savings account look like, well, loose change found in the couch cushions.
And the craziest part is that a huge chunk of that money is in this sort of shadow war chest controlled by Donald Trump.
But, and this is always the case with campaign finance, that top number is just the cover of the book.
Exactly. When you actually open the ledgers, which is what we're doing today, the story gets so much more complicated. It's not just about who has the cash. It's about where that money is coming from and some of the, well, really weird ways it's being spent.
So, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are following the money. We are unpacking thousands of pages of campaign finance reports that just came out. We're going to figure out who has the cash, who is drowning in debt, and honestly, why some of the biggest names in AI are suddenly bankrolling political campaigns.
And our mission here is really to explain how all this money is going to reshape the 2026 midterms. Because, and this is the fascinating part, the national numbers tell one story, a story of Republican dominance. But if you zoom in on the individual state races, it's a completely different reality.
It's a total paradox. I love a good paradox. So let's start at the very top. That headline number that has everyone in D.C. talking. If you look at the Republican financial machine, just how big is it heading into 2026?
It is formidable. If you add up all the Trump-aligned committees, so not just the party itself, but the whole Trump machine, they entered 2026 with roughly $389 million to spend.
Wow.
That is a figure that's just, unmatched by anyone on the Democratic side.
Nearly $400 million. And we have to remind everyone, Trump isn't running for anything right now. He's not on the ballot in 2026.
That's the key anomaly. Usually, after a presidential race, the candidate's fundraising machine, it winds down, it goes into hibernation. Trump's machine has done the exact opposite. It's kept the throttle wide open.
And the engine of that machine, it seems to be this super PAC called MAGA Inc.
Correct. MAGA Inc. is the absolute powerhouse here. They ended 2025 with $304 million cash on hand.
Just sit in the bank.
Just sitting there. To put that in perspective, they raised $289 million in 2025 alone. That was the highest total for any political action committee at the end of the year.
Okay, let's unpack that. A paddle, tied to a politician who isn't running, raised almost $300 million in an off year. If he isn't running, what are they doing with all that money?
Well, this is where we get into the idea of king-making. Even without being on the ballot, that money buys an immense amount of influence. It allows the former president to shape the field, to basically decide who runs and who wins before a single vote is even cast.
We already saw a little of this, didn't we?
We did, a glimpse of it back in December 2025.
The Tennessee special election.
Exactly. MAGA Inc. dropped $1.7 million on a single House race in Tennessee.
That's a lot for a special election in December.
It is a significant sum, and it sends a message to every other Republican who might be running in 2026. If you aren't with the program, we have the resources to bury you.
It's a tool to enforce loyalty, basically. But where is this money coming from? For years, the story was all about the small dollar donor, right? The red hat, the rallies. Is that still the engine?
It's a mix. The small dollar base is definitely still there. The Trump National Committee, which is sort of a joint fundraising group for Trump, the RNC, and J.D. Vance's PAC, raised $76 million last year.
And that's mostly small donations.
Largely, yes. The reports show it's driven by those small online donations, people giving $5 or $10 at a time.
So the grassroots are still clicking donate.
They are. But the whales are back in a big way. We are seeing 7- and 8-figure gifts coming from the tech and finance worlds. You've got Jeff Yass, the trading firm founder. You have Forrest Dax from the crypto world. And this one really stood out to me, Greg Brockman.
Wait, Greg Brockman, the OpenAI guy?
The very same.
That feels unexpected. I mean, you usually think of Silicon Valley AI researchers as being a bit removed from this kind of political machine.
Yeah.
Why is OpenAI money flowing into the Trump ecosystem?
It's almost certainly about regulation. We are entering a time where the government is going to set the rules for artificial intelligence. So if you're a major player in that space, investing in the Kingmaker is a strategic move. It helps ensure the people who get elected are, friendly to your technology.
It's an insurance policy.
Yeah.
Got it. But speaking of where the money goes, I saw something in the expenditure report that made me do a double take. We think this money goes to ads or rallies, but a huge chunk is going to lawyers.
The legal bill
Yeah.
twist, yes. This is a very specific feature of the current landscape.
So Trump is using political funds to pay his lawyers.
To the tune of $13 million last year.
$13 million. That's more than some entire congressional campaigns.
It is. The filings show Trump's committees paid out $13 million to lawyers in 2025. And we have the specifics. For instance, $1.2 million went to the law firm of Harmeet K. Dillon.
And I saw Alina Habba's name there too, right?
You did. Her firm got $900,000. So when a donor in Ohio sends in that $10 check, they might think they're buying a TV ad. But in reality, a portion of that is basically a legal defense fund. It's a very unusual use of campaign finance on this scale.
Incredible. Okay, so that's the Trump shadow machine. But what about the actual parties? The RNC versus the DNC? Because from what I'm reading, this isn't much of a fair fight right now.
It's a tale of two parties, essentially. On the Republican side, the RNC is flush. They've stockpiled $95 million. And this is crucial, they have zero debt. Clean slate, full bank account.
And if you combine them with the House and Senate committees?
The combined GOP committees are entering 2026 with $165 million in the bank.
$165 million. Ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay, now give me the bad news for the Democrats.
It is a rough start to the year. The DNC isn't just behind, they're underwater. They owe more than $17 million. Their cash on hand is only about $14 million. So net-net, they're in the red.
How does the National Party end up $17 million in debt before the year even really starts? Was it just mismanagement?
Well, the party would argue it was a calculated risk. Most of that debt is from a $15 million loan they took out in October of 2025. They needed a quick infusion of cash for the gubernatorial races in Virginia and New Jersey.
And they did win both of those.
They did. So, strategically, you could say it was money well spent. They got 2 governorships. But the hangover from that victory is they're starting this new cycle with a really compromised balance sheet. All the Democratic committees combined have about $85 million.
So the GOP has $165 million. The Dems have $85 million. That's nearly a 2-to-1 advantage. Why does that matter so early? Can't they just raise more money?
They can, and they will, but that national party money, that's what builds the infrastructure. It pays for data, for field offices. When you're paying off a $17 million loan, you are slower to hire people. You're slower to open those offices in swing states. You're just less agile. While the RNC is sprinting, the DNC is still trying to tie its shoes.
But, and there's always a but in these deep dives, if we look at the House specifically, the story changes, right? It's looking at the committees that just focus on Congress. And the gloom and doom seems to fade away.
It does. This is the one bright spot for the Democrats. If you look at the congressional committees, the DCCC for the Democrats and the NRCC for the Republicans, that discrepancy just vanishes.
They're tied.
Almost exactly. The DCCC has about $49 million cash on hand. The NRCC has $51 million. They both raised over $115 million last year.
So it looks like donors are just bypassing the broke DNC and giving directly to the fight for the House.
Precisely. And that's critical because the House majority is on the line. The fact that the DCCC has kept pace shows that donor enthusiasm for taking back the House is still incredibly high. They're being pragmatic, They see the House as the firewall, so they're funding that trench directly.
Okay, so a rich Trump machine, a rich RNC, a broke DNC, and a tie in the House race. But this is where the aha moment happened for me. I was looking at the Senate races, and I expected that Republican dominance to trickle down. But it doesn't.
No.
In fact, in the key battleground states, the Democratic candidates are absolutely crushing their opponents in fundraising.
This is what we call the candidate paradox. The national party is poor, but the individual candidates are wealthy. It's a fascinating disconnect.
Let's run through some numbers because they are just stark.
Okay.
Let's start with Georgia.
Okay, so Senator Jon Ossoff, he has become a fundraising juggernaut.
Huh.
He ended the year with $26 million in the bank.
And his opponent?
His closest Republican rival, Representative Buddy Carter, has about $4 million.
26 million versus 4. That is not a gap. That's a chasm. What about North Carolina?
Similar story. You have the Democrat, Governor Roy Cooper, with $12 million. His likely opponent is Michael Whatley. And Whatley is not a nobody. He's the former RNC chair. He should know how to raise money.
And yet.
And yet, Whatley reported having just $4 million.
So Cooper has 3 times the cash. Ohio.
Sherrod Brown, the Democrat, has $10 million. His challenger, John Husted, has $6 million. Closer, but the incumbent still has a solid edge.
And then there's Arizona, Senator Mark Kelly. Now, he isn't even up for re-election until 2028. Why is he hoarding so much cash?
Mark Kelly is a really specific case study in how political attacks can backfire financially. We sometimes call it the Streisand effect of campaign finance. He raised $13 million in just the last 3 months of 2025.
$13 million?
In 3 months.
With an election that's 2 years away.
The catalyst seems to be that Pentagon investigation. Remember the controversy about service members disobeying orders? Trump targeted Kelly specifically over that. He went after him really hard on social media.
Oh, right. He was tweeting about him constantly.
Exactly. And for a Democratic donor base that's desperate for a fighter, those attacks were like a signal flare. Trump effectively made Mark Kelly the main character of the opposition for that news cycle. And in online fundraising, attention equals monetization. It just galvanized the base.
So Trump attacks him, and Kelly's bank account grows by $13 million. That is ironic.
It's the new physics of polarization. Every attack is just a fundraising email waiting to be written.
Now, we have to talk about Texas. Because if there is one place where money tells a story of internal conflict, it is the Lone Star State.
Texas is the wild card this cycle. First, you have Democrats feeling this glimmer of hope because they just flipped a state Senate seat in a special election.
Which is a huge morale booster.
Right. But the real drama is on the Republican side. It is a full-blown civil war. You have the incumbent, John Cornyn, who is a powerhouse. He has a $15 million war chest. But he's facing a primary challenge from Ken Paxton, the Attorney General.
And Paxton is coming at him from the right, the Mangier wing.
Hard right. He's appealing directly to that base. He has about $3.7 million cash on hand. Now, that's way less than Cornyn, but Paxton has this huge national following. He forces Cornyn to spend that $15 million just to survive his own primary.
So Cornyn has to burn through his cash fighting his own party before he even gets to the general election.
Exactly. And meanwhile, the Democrats are just watching and raising money. Representative Jasmine Crockett ended the year with $5.6 million, and James Tallarico has $7.1 million.
Wait, Tallarico has more money than the Republican challenger Paxton.
He does, which makes Texas a very expensive, very messy, and very unpredictable race. If that GOP primary gets too bloody, the Democrat could walk into the general with a full bank account against a broke survivor.
Okay, we've covered the parties and the candidates.
Yeah.
But we can't talk about money in 2026 without talking about the elephant in the room, or maybe the rocket man in the room, Elon Musk.
The must factor. It is impossible to ignore.
I feel like we've been tracking his political journey for years. In 2024, he spent $277 million. He became America's largest political donor. But it's been a bit of a roller coaster, hasn't it?
It has. You remember the DOGE initiative?
Yeah.
To cut the federal government. Then he was sort of ousted, fell out of favor, was in the political wilderness for a bit.
And now he's back.
He is firmly back in the fold. As of early 2026, he is back in Trump's good graces, and the checkbook is wide open again.
How much are we talking about this year?
He's already donated at least $73 million to federal committees this year, $10 million to the Senate Leadership Fund, $10 million to the Congressional Leadership Fund, and $5 million to Mangi Inc.
And he's getting involved in specific races, too. I saw he donated to Nate Morris in Kentucky.
Yes, Morris is running to replace Mitch McConnell, so Musk is already putting his thumb on the scale for what the post-McConnell era of the GOP is going to look like.
But the thing that really caught my eye was the strategy of his America PAC. They spent over $45 million in 2025, and they are doing this weird referral thing.
This is a novel strategy. It's very Silicon Valley. Instead of just buying TV ads, they are essentially gamifying voter turnout. In the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, for example, they offered $47 for every valid referral of a registered voter in a swing state.
$47 just for referring a name.
Yes. It's like an affiliate marketing program for democracy or, Uber for political organizing. Instead of hiring a firm to knock on doors, you pay the neighbor to go nag their neighbor.
Does that work?
Well, it scales instantly. It's controversial, sure. Some argue it pushes ethical boundaries. But with Musk's resources, it allows them to build a ground game that operates completely differently from traditional canvassing. It's pure disruption.
Disruption seems to be the theme here. Because Musk isn't the only tech giant throwing weight around. We are seeing a massive influx of money from what you might call future tech sectors, crypto and AI.
This is the new frontier of campaign finance. It's not just oil and gas or big pharma anymore. It's the blockchain and the algorithm.
Let's talk crypto first. Fairshake. That sounds like a health food store, but it's a super PAC with a staggering amount of money.
A massive amount. Fairshake is a pro-crypto super PAC. They raised $70 million just in late 2025. They ended the year with $193 million cash on hand.
Nearly $200 million. That is more than the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee combined.
Let that sink in. A single issue, single industry interest group has more cash on hand than the two major American political parties.
And do they lean red or blue?
And that's the scary part for incumbents. They're mercenaries. They are completely nonpartisan. They spent hundreds of millions in 2024 supporting candidates in both parties. If you're pro-crypto, they back you. If you're anti-crypto, they will spend $10 million to destroy you.
So it's a compliance hammer. You get on board with the blockchain, or you get crushed by a $200 million war chest.
Exactly. And then you see the Digital Freedom Fund getting $21 million worth of Bitcoin from Winklevoss Capital. The scale of this spending is designed to make crypto a bipartisan issue by sheer force of capital.
And now AI is entering the chat.
Right. There's a new group called Leading the Future. It was founded in August, and it raised $50 million almost overnight.
And the donors are the titans of AI.
Yes. You've got $25 million from OpenAI's Greg Brockman and his wife, and another $25 million from Andreessen Horowitz, specifically Mark Andreessen, who you'll note is also a Trump advisor.
So you have the creators of the technology funding the political machine that will eventually regulate that same technology.
Yeah, that is the dynamic. And because these war chests are so large, they can effectively drown out other issues. If Leading the Future wants to make an election all about AI, safety, or deregulation, they have $50 million to make that happen.
So let's zoom out. We have a landscape where the GOP national machine is rich, the DNC is in debt, but Democratic candidates are flush with cash. We have Trump spending millions on legal bills, but still king-making. And we have Elon Musk and these massive tech PACs operating like third-party superpowers.
It creates a very, very volatile environment. But there is one last unknown variable that could just change everything we've just discussed.
The Supreme Court.
Yes. There is a pending case mentioned in the reports. The Supreme Court is weighing whether to remove limits on how much political parties can spend in coordination with candidates.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Explain that for everyone. Because right now, super PACs can't officially coordinate with a campaign, right? They have to act independently.
Theoretically, yes. There's a firewall. The super PAC can run an ad, but they can't call the candidate and ask, hey, what message do you want us to push? They have to guess. It's inefficient.
But if the court rules that those limits violate the First Amendment,
that firewall comes crashing down.
So that $95 million the RNC has, or the hundreds of millions in these super PACs,
it could potentially be unleashed directly in coordination with the campaigns. It would mean the candidate with the richest friends doesn't just get more ads, they get a fully synchronized, unlimited fire hose of cash built right into their strategy. We have never seen that level of spending power in American history.
It would fundamentally change the game.
Completely.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? It means the ads are going to be relentless. It means the primaries are going to be these incredibly expensive battles for the soul of the parties. Mm-hmm. But it also raises a question I want to leave you with.
We're seeing super PACs like Fairshake sitting on nearly $200 million. That's more money than the actual political parties that have existed for over a century.
When the special interest group has a bigger bank account than the party itself, who is really calling the shots on policy? Is it the candidate you see on the stage? Or is it the specific industry writing the check that keeps the lights on?
It's the golden rule of politics, right? He who has the gold makes the rules.
Something to think about next time you see a political ad pop up in your feed. Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.
Take care.